Hello, my spooky friends. This is John, your host of Dairyland Frights in the spookier podcast, Nightland Frights. And I wanted to thank all my spooky friends out there for listening. I truly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and rate us 5 stars. It helps you make this a better podcast. And make sure you comment what guests you would like me to have on, what topics you would like me to talk about. It's only going to make this podcast better. So again, thank you so much for listening. And please go to my Patreon. Check that out. Become a Parascani for only $3, a spooky friend for $1. And remember, stay spooky. Hello, my spooky friends. This is John, your host of Dairyland Frights. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about this episode. Debra from Paranormal Paradigma did a reading, and she really did an amazing job. But however, a lot of the reading was extremely personal, and I decided not to put it in this episode. But I want to let you know, she is a loving, kind person, and I highly recommend reaching out to her to get a reading. All the links to her sites are in this episode. And again, she really works with you, and you can ask for a better person to do a reading. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Stay spooky. Hi, this is John, your host of Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest and beyond. And tonight, boy, what a great way to start out 2025. One of my favorite people in the world. You know her, you love her. Debra from Paranormal Paradigma on the podcast. Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much for that enthusiastic welcome and introduction. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Every time I see Debra, I smile because she makes me smile.
Thank you.
And that's a good thing.
Yes.
That's an awesome thing. So, obviously, we talked offline. You had really nice holidays, which love that. But tell me about, with Paranormal Paradigma, what you're working on, what you've been working on, what you're thinking on working on, so we can share that with my spooky friends.
Yeah, well, since the last time that I went on, a few things have developed and I've sort of pivoted because I somehow, in some way, entered into medium abilities over the summer. So it was a very unexpected event, but it happened. And this was maybe late July. It was July of last year that I just started kind of exploring how to tap into these things. And lo and behold, I did. And ever since maybe I would say October, I've been giving medium readings to people. So they started off for free. I was giving free medium readings to people because, I don't know what the heck I was doing. I was just trying to see how this would show up. And then from there, now I'm doing like pay what you can reading. So, they're not supposed to be anything that breaks the bank. This should be affordable for anybody. Sort of just like pay what you can afford, pay what you feel you got value for. And so that's what I've been doing. And I'm still doing tarot readings and kind of just diving deeper into my abilities and pushing myself and seeing how far I can go because it's very new for me. And I've also noticed that it's just my method of doing readings is really different from a lot of standard mediums. And so that's also something that I'm contending with. Yeah, it's been weird for me because from what I've seen mediums do and experiences that I've had with certain people who are sensitive and things, it's not the way I do it. And so it's been a little strange, but I'm getting used to it. I've gotten used to it. And I've just been contending a lot with like, how is this even possible? And how am I doing this? But that's also because I'm, a logical human. The brain does what the brain does. But other than that, it's been great.
Yes, you are logical, and that's what we love about you.
Yeah, thank
Again,
you.
this is why I have Debra on as many times as I can, because she brings so much to not only this podcast, but people who listen to this. By the way, Debra, I want to give you an award. I don't have an award on me, but I will give it to you. Our Puck Wedgie episode was one of the best in 2024. Most downloaded episodes. Yay!
Yay! That is so exciting.
Yes, it was.
I love that.
I love that too, because it scares the ever living crap out of me if I ever met one.
Yeah.
I was re-editing it, Debra, and I was listening to it, and well, they push you off a cliff, and then they could change and transform, and then they could do all that stuff, and I'm like, damn, I forgot that. That's scary. Yeah, they're badasses. Like, if you see one, run the other way. Like, don't even be
Well,
like,
100%.
look at that little kid. Well, that little kid's kind of ugly. I'm still gonna help it. No, zip, 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 zip. Don't even engage. Just run as fast as you can the other way. But
Yeah.
anyway, yes, one of our most downloaded episodes. I love that episode.
Yay!
And yes, I'd love to have you on again, talk more cryptids again. That is something I want to do for 2025.
Yes.
Because our cryptid episodes, Wendigo, Puck Wedgie, Michigan Dogman, all of those did really well. Some of our most downloaded episodes. So, and especially the Wendigo, I would like to do a little bit more depth into the Wendigo, because that's crazy. That's like the Puck Wedgie. Very dangerous, very evil, something you don't want to mess with. So, yes, I will send you the award when I figure what that is.
Okay.
Awesome. So, yes, thank you so much. And yes, that's something like I said, I always look forward to having you on, because we always have a great episode. Tonight, folks, we have great news for you. Debra's going to try to do a reading on me. Now, she's already brought a caveat and some warnings that some things might come out that may not be for public consumption. So either this episode's going to be really short and I'll have to fill it with something else, and probably have to call Debra back and say, Debra, let's figure this out. Or I'm just going to brave the storm and put it out there. And, I don't know. Debra does not know. But before we get to that reading, Debra will explain that too. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask Debra some questions, because I've had a number of mediums on. By the way, just to let you know, I'm going to do another roundtable of mediums again, because that went really well. We did a live talk with some mediums that I had on the show, and that went really well. We had a lot of questions that I never got to. And it was really interesting, because every one of the mediums that I had on, if you go back and listen to the episode, they all have different powers. Some are can astral project. Some can talk to pets. Some can talk to ghosts. Some can talk, and it's just really cool. And that's something this year I'd like to do more of. So I will invite Debra, along with some other my medium friends, on to kind of talk about how their gifts vary and change. And one of the things, before I get to the questions, just remember 3 things, people. When you're talking to a medium, understand this is not something where they snap their fingers and it just happens. It takes a little time, and sometimes it may not work. The other thing is, you have to be open. If you are closed off, it's not going to work. And also know, maybe tonight there might be some information that will come across that you may not particularly like or have to deal with. And I don't know, because I know a lot of people deal with, unfortunately, loved ones and want to find out what they're doing and how they feel and tell them how much they love them. And that's a tricky, I don't know, it's very tricky. And one thing before I got on the podcast here in the episode, I was telling Debra I had a medium on, and she was talking. She's with grief, so she focuses on grief, specializes in that. And she was talking to me about my mom, and it was getting kind of personal. And after the show, she reached out to me and she said, "Your mom was talking to me while you were talking about her, and she said she's okay, everything's good, everything's fine." And she said to me, would that what your mom would say? Because it's kind of like your mom is like, not leave me alone, but kind of like, hey, I'm good, you don't have to worry about me. And I said, that's exactly what my mom would say. Exactly. And it just blew me away. Debra and my spooky friends out there, it just blew me away, because I was like, it happened during the session. I mean, during the episode, excuse me. We were not doing a reading. We were just talking. And when we were talking about my mom, that's what came up. So during our session here, our reading, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Debra, since she just got her gifts, maybe something comes through, maybe something doesn't. So there we go. Just kind of wanted to explain a little bit about that. So, like I said, before we get to readings, I wanted to know a couple of things. Maybe you can kind of, I don't know, answer, or maybe you're like, I don't know. And if you don't know, Debra, please say, I don't know. Because I
Always.
don't want to put anyone in a position like you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to tell anybody that's not true. So, one of the questions I want to ask you, you talked about your medium abilities just kind of came to you over the summer, and right? But I have a lot of people ask, I got questions during that roundtable. Is there anything you did differently, or how can someone like myself learn how to develop medium abilities? What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, I'm of the school of thought that any person that has a brain can develop median abilities, because essentially the brain is the receiver, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, in order to tap into this is why spirituality has become such a big thing, because one of the promises of spirituality is to sort of open yourself up to these experiences, open your pineal gland, open, you know, your mind basically. And as you open your mind and you grow and you expand, you're able to heal and receive messages, presumably from the other side. And so that's what, like, basically the premise that I kind of went with when I started messing around with stuff. So how
Okay.
did it come to me? It's not like, for
Yes.
a while I've known that I'm sensitive. So for a long time I started working on, well, for those of you who don't know, for a long time I was an atheist and I was a non-believer, totally objective and materialist in my framework and my mindset. So, like, for me, it needed to be scientific and evidence-based, and the burden of proof needed to be there, like all that. Um, However, I had an experience that just kind of made me turn and pivot and kind of question what reality was and how things can manifest and how I can experience things, and it not make any sense logically. So went down the spiritual path and started developing my skills via tarot. So I started using tarot and then doing a bunch of research, which is what I did. 8 years now, I'm in year 9. I've been reading tarot for now 9 years. And as you read tarot and as you research the more spiritual aspects of life, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
through texts and your own experiences, you learn a thing or two. And I kind of just kept leaning into the curiosity and into this unknown and into this sort of like these questions that I kept having. And as I did so, I was healing. So a lot of internal healing, a lot of like release, a lot of, balancing out energies, masculine and feminine energies, healing internal feminine wounds or masculine wounds like people tend to have, like, things that you're taught in spirituality, learning how to meditate, blah, blah. So started with that. The tarot was really good because it helped me learn a lot about the different types of energies that are present, the archetypes that are present. And then it kind of helped me hone in on my own feelings and my intuition. And then from there, I just felt more sensitive. I started getting bodily sensations that I would understand were like my guides. Like I was like, okay, well, this needs to be my guides. Like this is these need to be my guides. And I start feeling different sensations in different places and start asking questions like, what does this mean? And then just taking notice of patterns and like synchronicities and things like that. Well, one day I decided that I was going to take it a step further, and I decided to use dowsing rods. And dowsing rods are really interesting because they're these copper metal things, and traditionally they're used to detect water in the ground. But a spiritualist or anybody in the spiritual or paranormal sphere is going to also tell you that they help detect ghosts. And so I was like, all right, if they can detect ghosts and ghosts can answer me through these dowsing rods, like, let's see if it's true. And so that's what I started doing. And I had things come through and I was just like, what is going on? And it freaked me out because I was like, I'm not doing this. And I know some people would argue like subconsciously you're doing this.
Sure.
Like with micro movements or like manipulating the rods or whatever. And I was like, it's actually like not possible.
Yeah.
Like with the questions that I was asking, the ways the rods were manipulating themselves, the things that these entities knew, I was just like, how, this is not me. So whatever. Then from there, I had lent the dowsing rods to my sister, and I felt like empty. I was like, oh my God, I have no connection to the other side. How am I going to connect to my guides? Like they're not answering me, da, da, da. And then I finally realized, I was like, but I am the channel. I am the vessel. I am the receiver. And so I started practicing how to use my body, how to use myself to like receive messages. And it started off as simple yes or no things, like yes or no, my body would sway. And then from there, it went into like words that I would receive. And now I am a full blown channel, like a full blown channel for entities. So what that means is that typically a medium will receive messages, right? He or she is going to get impressions, and they're going to use their clairs to how they receive it is their clairs. That's how they are sensitive. So they're clairsentient. They can feel things. They're clairaudient. They can hear things. They're clairvoyant. They can see things. Sometimes it's a mix of a few of them. And typically they come in as impressions or symbols or words, phrases that they hear. For me, it's different. I have the clairs, but the entity uses me to speak to you. So I am a channel. So that means like the way that I'm speaking to you now is how they will speak to you. And it's funky because what happens is my voice may change a little bit depending on whether it's a male or female entity. The way that I interact like with you is going to change because right now I'm looking at you and I'm being myself, but once the entity is here and they're channeling through me, I have to say things to my right or to my left. Like it's how they manipulate me. Like I am being manipulated. And then they will say things and ask you questions directly, and you can answer them directly, but it is not me. But then I will break from it and be like, does this make sense? Or is this resonating with you? Because I need to make sure that the messages that are coming through are accurate. But they also will fix me. Like they will make sure that like I'm channeling accurately too, or try to make sure that I'm channeling as accurately as I can. And it's a very strange experience for many, but it's just how it shows up for me. Like I am a straight channel, like they speak directly through me. And so I know it's a little weird because it looks like I'm talking to myself, but I'm not. And like the best example that I give people is like if anybody follows Bashar or the person, his name is Daryl Anka. Daryl Anka is the human. Bashar is the entity. Daryl Anka channels Bashar and gives these messages to people, like in public, like not in public places, but like in seminars and in conferences or whatever he does. Like he channels an entity. And that's basically what I do. I am channeling entities. So when I'm doing a medium reading, I'm either literally channeling your loved one that has passed on the other side, but not necessarily. I can be channeling a spirit guide, which oftentimes spirit guides come through. People don't necessarily know that they have spirit guides, but everybody on this earth has a spirit guide, at least one. So that may come through and they, speak to you. But it's always interesting because I just don't know what's going to come through. I just know that I'm absolutely obligated to say whatever it is that's coming through.
True. Yeah.
And it looks weird. It's a strange thing, but it's just how my gift works, and I just kind of flow with it.
Nice. Nice. I love it. So you led me to my next question here. Guiding spirits. There's a lot where people who will say, something to the effect of, do I have a guiding spirit? Which you answered already. But one of the things I guess a lot of people ask is, like, do I have maybe one or more spirit guides? And who are my spirit guides? So it's kind of a two-part question. So a lot of people think I have more than one spirit guide. And I've talked to other mediums who have told me, Michael, a gentleman who is sensitive, and his wife is sensitive, when they go in they live in North Carolina, when they go into the forest, they meet their spirit guides. And their spirit guides tell them good, maybe some bad things, right? But they also have other spirit guides and everything. So my first question would be, someone listening to this would be like, Debra, I don't think I have a spirit guide because, maybe my life's a mess. Maybe, I've made bad decisions. Maybe I've done this. So if there's a spirit guide, they're failing. Or, you know what I mean? Like, people might throw that at you and be like, I don't know about that. What would you say to them?
I would say, do not worry. You have at least one spirit guide with you at all times. No matter what, no matter where, doesn't matter. Even if you feel alone, even if you don't feel the presence, even if you're having a hard time with anything, or if you feel like you're a bad person, you literally and legitimately have a spirit guide with you at all times.
And what would be like, how would you describe a spirit guide? Like, where would you say, is this someone from your past? Is it someone, maybe something like a Native American guide? Maybe, I don't know. When people ask that, what would you say to them when they're looking for their spirit guide?
It is literally what it means, or what is said. Like, it translates to a guide that in spirit form. Now, what that looks like can be many things. A lot of times we don't really realize that energy is eternal, right? Like, we know it, like the concept is there, but we don't really understand that and how it translates to us. So what that means is, like, if you're existing now, you've probably existed for a really long time and you've had other lives. So presumably, if you've existed for a long time and had other lives, you've had other interactions with other beings. Now, this can be humans. This can be other beings, like maybe of some sort of alien or unknown race. There are literally hundreds or thousands, maybe even millions of different species of like things in the universe that we do not have any knowledge of or awareness of. And your guide can be from any past life of yours, from anywhere in this universe. And so maybe it's another human that you met. Maybe it's the love of your life from another life. Maybe it's a child. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's a best friend. However it is, like, no, but I don't know. You understand? I know
Yeah,
my guide,
right.
but
Yeah.
other people, everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different ancestry or lineage. But it is kind of
Absolutely.
cool to know that, like, we've been here for a long time, and there've been
Yes.
soul connections that we've made, and these soul connections are last an eternity. And we don't
Yes.
really realize that because we forget when we become human. But that's just the reality in the spirit realm that even I learned just
Yeah.
a few months ago when I became a medium. Like, I didn't know all this, but here I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to ask you a question, Debra. that I saved for one of my roundtable discussions that we didn't get to. This is really interesting. Do my spirit guides, this person asked, so I'm guessing they have more than one, have any advice on how to live my best life during this lifetime? I was like, okay. What do you think of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Out of all the readings that I've done, the ones where the spirit guides have come through, which actually have been almost all of them. Um, uh, Interestingly enough, the guide literally tries to help the person live their best life. And what people don't realize about living your best life, a lot of it deals with
Mm,
healing. And
yeah.
so oftentimes when people like ask like what should I do or where should I go, blah, 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 the answer they get is you need to heal. Or and then it'll be different aspects too. Like it'll like it's either like you need to heal this part of you or you need to heal that part of you, or like these are the chakras that are imbalanced. Like you need to balance these chakras.
Mm,
Like blah 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 blah.
mm-hmm,
Like it's just different advice for different people. But
mm-hmm.
it's just very interesting how the advice ends up resonating with the person. But the answer a guide is going to give you, at least based on my experiences on how to live your best life, is heal and then work, heal and work.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
the work, but yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not a magical formula.
yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is I've learned is you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. And I know it sounds a little cliche and a little sappy, but it's true, right? Like you have to be in touch with yourself and be like, I'm okay. Like I'm a nerd and I'm weird. And I love that about myself. Like I'm not going to change for anybody. I'm not going to and I did in the past and I was miserable.
Yeah,
When I in my previous jobs, I'd have to be like, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Debra? Let's go," kind of thing. You know what I mean? And you're like, "Who is that person?" You know what I'm saying? Right? But then
right,
after a while, I'm like, right. And I was okay. I'm weird. I'm a nerd. I like talking about paranormal. I like talking about ghosts. I like talking about portals. I like talking about all this stuff, Hollow Earth, conspiracy theories. Yeah. Okay. You know what I mean? And then I felt better about myself. So I don't know if that was my guide telling me that or I don't know. But I just think that was really interesting when people talk about it. That I think about it now, maybe it was, right, Debra? Maybe my guy was telling me, hey, stop being fake. Just be
yeah,
yourself. You're a good person, right?
yeah. And I mean that's typically the advice. And then you say something that always is very interesting. You said like you have to learn how to love yourself so you can love others. Actually, I've learned that we learn to love others before we love ourselves. And so,
Interesting.
and that's the problem, right? The problem is we're taught in our society to love others. We love our parents, we love our
Mm-hmm.
children, we love our friends, we love our family. And being taught how to love, super easy. You understand? Like we fall in love all the time. The problem is that nobody teaches us how to love ourselves. Like society is hell bent on comparison and where you should be or shouldn't be at a certain age, or how you should look or shouldn't look at a certain age, or what job is a good job, or what's a good behavior, or what's not a good behavior. And like, it's very, very difficult to find yourself in a
Yeah.
society that just places all these constructs around you. So, what ends up happening is that, yeah, you end up loving somebody but you don't love yourself. And then things
Yep.
go wrong because you don't know how to integrate and you don't know how to manage the chaos that's within you, because there's still chaos within you because you just don't value yourself. And so your guides actually help you sort of see that and say, hey, you haven't been valuing yourself. Hey, you haven't been honoring yourself. Hey, there is a part of you that needs to heal, because otherwise it's going to keep repeating in your life and you're just going to stay stuck. You understand? And that's one of the things that I've learned that spirit guides help you do, is sort of just like have you come into more centered approach in your life where like you become the focus, your healing, your needs, your protection, your safety, your love becomes the center of stage rather than you constantly giving, giving, and giving and then not receiving the way that you need to receive. And you also need to learn how to receive. So your guides are there to help you with this. So if you decided you needed to be you and this is what makes me happy, I am absolutely sure that it was a guide sort of like pushing you to be yourself. That makes
I
sense.
love it. I love
Mhm.
it. See, I'm on the page. I love it. So let's just a couple quick questions before we do the reading. One thing that I think, and maybe I'm giving too much away. So if I'm giving too much away, just say, John, you're giving too much away.
Okay.
Aura. I am fascinated with auras because here's the thing, and this always blows me away. I connect to certain people immediately. Men, women, especially women. It's weird. Like some women just latch on to me. They're like, bam! Like I can meet them and say, hi, I'm John. And they're like, hi, I'm Debra. How are you? And
Mm-hmm.
immediately we're like, we know each other. It's like we've been around each other. And I think that's absolutely fascinating because other people I talk to, they do not like me. Like it's almost
Yeah.
like you can see them make a
Yeah.
face. And I've had people make faces at me. I'm like, well, I took a shower. That ain't
Yeah.
that. But there's some
Right.
people I literally tried to talk to, Debra, and they want
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with me. Like I could
That happens.
literally, and so I don't know if this has something to do with being a medium or spirit guides, but is there anything with auras that maybe, because I know people can see them. There are certain mediums, psychics, whatever you want to call them, specific, where they can see a person's aura and they
Mm-hmm.
can say, you have a strong aura. Your aura is orange or blue or whatever. So I can see this. What is your feeling upon that? Do you believe auras exist? And if so, is there any validation of what I'm saying
Yeah,
about why
absolutely.
people
No,
latch on to me when they don't? Okay.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, we all have an energy signature. You understand? Like we are all energy. And so some of us are higher on the end of the energy signature of the energy scale, and others are kind of lower. You understand? It really just depends on our thoughts, the things that we constantly tell ourselves, our perspective of life, our perception of life, and our behaviors and our actions. Like, I mean, a lot goes into like who we are energetically. And who we are energetically kind of shows up as an aura. Like, if people who read auras, they can see a color. This is things are frequencies. You understand? There's wavelengths and color is on this spectrum. And so what ends up happening is your energy field is constantly like on and your aura is that signature of that energy field. And the color says a lot about where your energy is at. And so
Hmm.
when somebody sees an aura, they're going to tell you your aura is blue, your aura is purple. I had
Yeah.
somebody randomly, I think it was the host of NL podcast. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. She was just like randomly, she was like, by the way, your aura is silvery white. And I was just like, what? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Great. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, no, silvery white aura. And it was just something gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was like almost like high level aura. And I was like, me? And I was like, why the hell would I be so up there? Like, I mean, I like really no, like I was just very surprised that she saw that about me. Like I expected like red or something. Like I had no idea. But she said silver white and she was so specific about it. And I was like, oh, okay, well that's interesting. And so what ends up happening is like we all have an aura. So the people that are either instantly attracted to you or instantly repelled about you, it's just like energy. You understand? Like it's just either it's gonna mesh or it's not gonna mesh. And that's kind of fine because whatever, rejects you is fine. It means it's just not in alignment. And the ultimate goal is alignment. So just let it
Yeah.
go. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's what I find really interesting too. The other thing, and I've said this ad nauseum. So anyone
Mm-hmm.
listening to the show knows I've said this a million times. And I'll say it again. So my mom, she can meet a person and immediately tell, not being judgmental, whether they're a good or bad person. I mean, and she
Yeah.
passed it on to me. And when I tell people this, they usually laugh at me. But my mom could literally meet somebody and go, I don't know. And she did that with my girlfriends in the past. She'd meet somebody and be like, and typically moms meeting their girlfriend or boyfriend or partner or whatever are like, because you're protective, right? You're like, it's kind of shady. But doesn't mean that that person's a bad person, right? Because they can grow, like we talked about, and do all these things. But my mom
Yeah.
was never wrong. She was never wrong. She'd meet some of my bosses and she'd be like, yeah, I think you better look for another job, John. I don't think this is going to work. And then I've taken that skill and I can do that too. And it blows me away because I've had other mediums tell me you should develop that skill more because maybe you can turn it into something else that not only help people, but to help yourself or who knows what will grow from it. And it's so weird that, again, I think it is something like you said to deal with auras and energy because like you said, it's two magnets. Like the experiment, you did in like fifth grade. You put magnets together and they repel each other
Yeah.
or they attract each other. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. And I'm
Yeah.
absolutely fascinated by that because I'm like, I never thought of that. It never occurred to me. I thought it was just, you meet someone and you're like, kind of seems like a dork or a jerk or whatever. I didn't know there's energy associated with that. So that just blows me away. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
Ready? All right. Can you identify yourself? Yes, I can. You're female. Yeah. Yes, I am a female. Good job. Okay. Are you a loved one or a family member or a spirit guide? Spirit guide. Yes. I am I am his spirit guide. Yes. Yes, I am. Yes. Yes. Okay, great. Take the show on the road and do what you okay. Oh, forgive me, John. Oh, good job. Take the credit. Yeah. Okay. Mm. Ah, John. Mm. I am so pleased to be here right now. Yes, yes. You have absolutely no idea what a treat this is to be able to speak to you after so many years. Oh my goodness. I'm a little nervous. Yes, yes, I am. Okay. Okay, John. This will be your spirit guide speaking to you. Let me start off with a few things. First of all, who? The other? Yes, yes, good. We'll start off with her. It was a very impactful experience. Yeah, yes, it was. He had, it felt very strong within him when he heard the medium say what she said about his mother. So I just wanted to confirm and help validate that his mother is in a very,
Yes. Thank you.
you're welcome. You are very welcome. And thank you for listening. For listening, John. You are listening to us. You are sensitive. You have gifts. You just don't understand this world as enthusiastic as you are about it. There are so many things you just do not understand. But you are understanding because you are going with your feelings. You are listening to your intuition. You are developing your and growing. And this is the path. You understand you are on the right path. You are doing so great. And we are very proud of you. Do you understand?
Yes. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. Ah, I think this is a good place for me to stop. There are other things, maybe for another time, but this is very good and very first for a very first time for me. For me. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I can talk to him. This is amazing. Yes, yes. Okay. Anyway, this is good.
No, not right now. You answered a lot of them, and thank you. I truly appreciate you watching over me and guiding me through my life.
Absolutely. All of us. I do have to go. It is a little bit of a ritual, but if you have no more questions, then I look forward to a future reading. with this medium personally. But the others have been nice, some of them better than others. But this medium allows me to speak to you, and that is a gift. Thank you. I will go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm. All right, John, I'm gonna let her go. So it's a little bit of a thing. They use my breath, so I'm just gonna. It's a little dramatic.
Yep.
So just
Yep.
give me a second.
Yeah. Yes, that was very amazing.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah. Sorry. So I learned when I became a medium,
Yes.
that the way that they come in is through breath and the way they exit is through breath. So coming in is
Mm.
very easy, but leaving is a little more dramatic, as she said. So they have to literally be breathed out, like a breath out. And so that's what
Mm.
typically happens. But she's gone.
Yeah.
That was amazing, by the way. She's amazing. I really loved her energy. How was the reading for you?
Right. That was really interesting, and thank you again. She seemed very, like, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but she seemed very nice, and she seemed very forward, and she seemed like she really wanted to tell me things. Is that kind of what you were getting?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, whatever she was saying, it was her. That was not me. So,
Yeah.
like
And
that that was her. Like that was her energy coming through. Like I cried because she was
uh,
upset about your son, and I was just like,
yeah.
"Whoa."
Yeah, I was getting a
So,
little emotional about that too,
yeah.
actually.
I mean,
Uh,
again,
uh,
I didn't even know. Yeah. Thank
I was
you.
worried that I was worried, Deborah, that you were gonna be like, "Murder," and I'm like, "Murder?"
No.
What? I was
Yeah,
worried
there's
like you
that.
were gonna say something like that. I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa."
No, there is, it's so funny you bring that up. There is a huge misconception about like mediums or tarot readers that like we're going to predict death and like destruction and like gloom and doom and things like that. And like I understand why, because there are people out there who will do a reading for you and they'll be like, do you have a spirit attachment? Oh my God, I can remove that for you if you pay
Yeah,
me a certain amount of money. And so I understand where it comes from. And now there's a lot of misunderstanding about the spirit world in general, especially when it comes to like God
sure.
and spirits and angels and demons and ghosts and all that stuff.
Yeah, yes.
So typically people expect like spooky things or like, I don't know.
Mm,
It's kind of weird. It's either they expect like
yeah,
bad things, but then some people expect really specific things like, well,
yeah,
tell me this exact thing with this exact thing. It's like that doesn't necessarily always work like that. Like it's whatever comes through. Like I'm not the one in charge.
yeah,
But sometimes I
yeah,
do get names and sometimes I do get like really specific things that people are like, holy shit, that was, how did you know that? You understand? So,
yes,
point is that whatever comes through is meant to help you. And if it's a true
yeah.
medium and if it's somebody who's truly connected, like that's what they're going to do. So,
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
what I am now, a
Um,
true medium.
yes, I love it. It's awesome. We'll have to do this again because I have some questions. I didn't want to ask because we were dealing with other things at this time, but I have some other questions if we do this again, dealing with some of my friends that recently passed.
Hmm.
And I kind of want to go through that and see maybe if
Okay.
my spirit guides would tell me anything. Again, I know it's not, whether they do or not. Now, can I ask you a question? Is four too many spirit guides or is four too low? What's the number?
Like, no, 4 is a good number.
It's
A
just
lot of
wow.
the Yeah, like a lot of the people that I've talked to typically have between 2 to one person had 6. So,
Wow. Nice.
it varies. One person has
Yeah.
2, others had 3, you
Mm.
have 4, somebody had 6, I have a few. So, like, I don't even
Yes.
know how
Wow.
much I
Yeah.
have now. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so like there are people you can have well into 20 spirit guides. Like it just really depends the level. Typically, the higher you go in your life, like spiritually, the more spirit guides you're gonna have.
Sure.
Because you need
Yeah.
protection. So they're here to
Yeah.
protect you.
Yes. That is interesting. That's
Hmm.
fascinating to me.
But 4 is a good number.
Uh, all right. I'll take it. Again, this is so much gratitude, for you doing this. I cannot. That's one of the things I wanted to do this year too, is give gratitude and stuff. And no, we worry about the things we don't have. What we don't do is have gratitude for the things we do have, right? And I think something too that we all have to learn about. So again, so much gratitude for you. And my spooky friends out there, remember, please reach out to Debra. Have you changed anything of where people could reach you at, or is it the same old Instagram and stuff like that? Or
Same old stuff. I'm active on Instagram, still active on TikTok for the time being. My website, www.paranormalparadigma.com. My handles on all the platforms are Paranormal Paradigma, so at Paranormal Paradigma. And I now have a YouTube channel, which I haven't really been doing a lot with, but I do have
sure,
an
okay,
interview. I have an interview out there with a few like real like shorts. I guess YouTube calls it shorts. So I do have a few shorts that I posted, but there is one interview that if any of you are interested, with a person who had a dog man or a wolf man werewolf experience here in Florida. So that's a really cool interview. And I'm going to release another interview with somebody who is sensitive and has had paranormal
nice.
and spiritual experiences his whole life and like his story.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
so I'll be releasing that hopefully by the end of this month, beginning of next. And so I'm
love it.
slow with YouTube at the moment, but hopefully that will pick up by the year as the year goes. And
Absolutely.
you can connect via there. And at the moment I'm doing pay what you can readings.
Okay.
At least for medium readings, tarot readings, they're the same price on my website. And then I also do spell work, and I'll see how I grow from here. Like, I don't know, whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, I love it. Again, you leave me speechless every time
Thank
I'm
you.
having you on the show. I can't say enough. Please, like you said, it's kind of, she'll figure it out. So don't worry about it. If you're like, I really want to know these things, but I don't have whatever, reach out to her. Debra will be fair
Yeah.
to you. Come on, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out, people. Let's do this. So awesome. Thank you for going overtime.
You're
Definitely going to
welcome.
have you on again. Like we
Yeah.
talked about those round tables, if we want to do that.
That'd be
I'm
fun.
really trying to this year to explore new things, to put some new things out there, find out, what life means, as well as some spooky stuff that maybe is out there, UFOs, cryptids. So this year is my year of self-discovery and figuring out what's going on out there.
Love it. Love it.
Love it. All right. Well, hugs and kisses, love for the family. And we will talk later. Bye, Debra.
Bye.